Okay, everyone. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Raven Replays If My Heart Had Wings. So, we're going to pick up where we left off. If I can just remember. Oh, yeah, the next day. Okay. So, early in the morning, the doorbell chimed. So, I went to open it, and there I saw Ageha. What are you doing here? So, you really are the dorm mother, she remarked as she saw me wearing an apron. This place, it's the witch's mansion, isn't it? It's a student dormitory for our school, huh? Ageha focused on the words student dormitory as if questioning their suitability as she gazed at the magnificent entrance. I was surprised too, to think that I would become the caretaker of the place that we used to sneak into when we were kids. It's nice. I might like to be here too. If I were living here with you, Aoi, it would definitely be fun. She seems like awful chummy. Like, I know we were childhood friends, but it's been several years, and for her to be like that chummy right away, I don't know. Like, girl, where are your like defenses? Like, let's talk about that perimeter, that barrier that maybe should be a little bit up. Why did you come here? I asked while guessing that perhaps she had come to invite me to walk to school with her. She is, after all, my #1 best friend. Well, there we go. Even though we never reached out to her, never really tried to maintain contact, you just can't change. Some things just never change, I guess, so. Oh yeah, I came to ask Kotori to come to school with me. Wow. Okay. Read that wrong. I was wrong. Miss Alul? Who's Miss Alul? No, it's nothing. While blushing due to the misunderstanding, I looked back toward Kotori's room. Looks like she still hasn't woken up. Even if she gets up now and takes her time eating breakfast, she can still make it with time to spare. I see. All right, I'll wait here. Thanks for the food. Yeah, I was hoping we would at least offer her breakfast. There's still some left. Sorry, but I can't eat this much so early in the morning. Yeah, I can barely eat anything. You're joking, right? I only gave you a little bit. Even people in sports clubs don't eat a huge bowl of Neapolitan pasta in the morning. Yeah, whoa, okay. I don't know. I mean, cultural differences aside, that still feels a bit weird to serve as a breakfast item. Oh, yeah, I guess. Kanako ate the whole thing again this morning, though. Yeah, I don't think she should be our barometer. How was the taste? It was tasty. Really? Yeah, really. But there was a lot of it, so I got tired of eating it halfway through. That's how I feel with, like, any meal. With good food, it tastes good no matter how much you eat. You've always had an unrefined palate, haven't you? He's a Domino's man, just like myself. An unrefined palate. The shock hit me like a bolt of lightning. I hung my head in dismay. Why are you so shocked? The truth is, Ageha had revealed the reason why since yesterday the boarders hadn't been eating my cooking properly. I thought I'd ask her opinion, which is why I made Ageha some food and got her to eat it. It was made from leftover ingredients anyway. Eating things like pork fried rice with ginger or Neapolitan pasta in the morning, it's unlikely that girls would ever accept that kind of food. Yeah, where's the toast that hangs from the corner of their mouth as they're running late to class? What about something more refreshing? If you're gonna make pasta, why not try tomato sauce or Japanese style? Cooking for girls is so difficult. Yeah, screw it, man. Dip? Boy or girl, we're all human. Tasty is tasty. That's what I believed. Just as I was seriously troubled by this. Seriously troubled? Was this foundation shaking for you? I heard the squeaking of turning wheels coming from down the hallway. Up. First, Hat the duck came into the dining hall. Then Kotori came in after him. It's the opposite to usual. There we go. Why do I have to yawn? Kotori rubbed her sleepy eyes and started preparing Hat's food. It somehow looked as if the hungry hat had woken her up. There, eat your fill and get nice and fat. Sooner or later, I'm gonna eat you. Quack. Not understanding her words, Hat quacks happily as Kotori speaks to him and eats his food. It's a duck. How cute. Huh? Kotori notices that Ageha is here and instantly opens up her eyes. This is a pet duck, isn't it? I've seen one in a TV commercial. Is it yours, Kotori? He just decided to live in my room, that's all. Why are you here? Kotori, you've been off school for too long. I came to see how you are. Do you feel better now? The teacher or someone asked you to do this, didn't they? No, they didn't actually. Hey, shall we go to school together? Who'd want to go with you? Wow, Kotori gave a humph and made another one of those straight faces she's so good at. But if you take too much time off, you'll get behind in the lessons. I don't think it has anything to do with you. Well, that's true. You're right. I'm sorry. Who said I was taking a day off today? Huh? Don't get the wrong idea. The reason I'm going isn't just because you asked me to. Spoken like a true tsundere. Okay, then. All right, I'll wait for you. I never said I was going with you. I'll go by myself. Kotori said with a straight face, then turned her wheelchair around. Just as she was about to leave, she stopped the wheelchair and turned around. You two, do you know each other? Huh? Yeah, we're childhood friends. What a pair of idiots. It looks like she has even more of a bad attitude this morning. However, she did say she was going to school. Yeah, but is it to hand in that withdrawal notice? After tidying up the breakfast things, I left the dormitory with Ageha. On our way to school, somehow our conversation turned to Kotori. Is there a reason why Kotori stopped coming to school? Yeah, I guess there is. Kotori has a walking disability, right? When we joined the same class in the second grade, it seemed like she wasn't really into it. Sometimes I would speak to her. That's so like Ageha to worry about that sort of thing. If there are any people who don't really fit into the group or are left out, she won't just ignore them. That's a pretty admirable quality. In the past, that's why I started to play with Mabo, so it could have been for the same reason. But for Kotori to be like that, to put it bluntly, seems like she doesn't really want to fit in. Yeah, I can imagine that somehow. When the other girls in the class saw me with Kotori like that, they get angry. That's when they started to object to Kotori. That seems kind of bitchy. It became a big battle of the girls in the class versus Kotori. When Ageha reminded herself of what happened back then, she wearily slouched forward. Ageha is cheerful and has many friends. Kotori, who didn't respond to Ageha's concerns about her, might have been seen as the one in the wrong by those around them. Since then, she stopped coming to school? That's right. You know, back then, Kotori was amazing. She faced up to all the other girls in the class and didn't back down at all. Ageha is waving her arms around like someone from a kung fu movie and passionately tells the story. I decide not to ask her what kind of heroic deeds took place or for any specific details. Well, I didn't expect that. Even just by saying something in a slightly harsh way, she gets all tearful. Why did Kotori come to our school? You know, she doesn't enjoy the lessons and doesn't try to make any friends. The only reason I could think of is that it might be because it has full disabled access. In fact, that could be the main reason. Sheesh, I've got to do something about this. Looking at Ageha from the side as she puts her hands behind her head and starts thinking things over, I remember the withdrawal notice that I picked up last night. Really? Because that was like first thing on my mind. Like, dude, do you have memory issues? I just wouldn't have stopped thinking about that whenever I saw Kotori, but I guess we're different. On the spur of the moment, I decided not to give it back and acted like I knew nothing about it. Is she really planning to drop out? It somehow felt like I had picked some heavy piece of lost property up. The two of us both made troubled faces as we walked. Murmur, murmur. A quiet, strange commotion surrounded us. Huh? Most of the other students around us on their way to school were looking in the same direction. Over there was... Best girl, a tall, slender, beautiful girl walking along. Oh, it's her. It was the girl I met in the garage. Everyone was looking at her with curiosity, but it seemed that she hadn't noticed that other people were looking at her. I was looking at her in the same way as everyone else, but Ageha took the way I was looking in the wrong way. Ho ho, as I thought, you have high standards. That girl is really famous in our school, the super repeat student senior Amane Mochizuki. Super repeat student? Yeah, she's repeated the same school year several times. Is she that stupid? To put it bluntly, she doesn't look it though. If I had to say one way or the other, I'd say she's a genius. It's way beyond the level of her having the best scores or anything like that. Rather, the teachers have nothing more to teach her. In fact, they sometimes go to learn from her, it seems. This is a weird setup. Are you, like, they could graduate her and just bring her back as, like, some kind of adjunct faculty. Like, what? So we have to make this realistic. She has to, like, not care about the actual grades, and she doesn't care about failing classes. Like that, it can't be she's so smart that the teachers need her and they couldn't have her leaving the school, but also they didn't want to make her adjunct faculty at the very least. Like this cannot be the setup. I forgot about this, but I'm hoping I'm wrong here and we do make this more realistic than it currently seems to be. Cleverer than the teachers? Does our school really deal in such specialized fields? I mean, look around you. Despite that, she doesn't graduate and stays in school. She plans a way to drop credits. Oh, okay, thank God. So she repeats by dropping credits and not having enough to graduate. Okay. Originally, she was repeating the year for more times than the school rules allow, so that's why she's the super repeat student. But it's strange to see her on her way to school in the morning. I don't know if she's a genius or not, but she definitely seems like a pretty weird person. A lot of geniuses are, though. No offense. Then abruptly, super repeat student senior Amane Mochizuki, let's just call her that the whole time, like the full title, stopped walking and looked at the sky. Everyone else mimicked her and looked up too. A jet plane flying through the blue sky, pulling its vapor trail along behind it. Wow. Everyone soon realized it was a plane and quickly lost interest and started walking again. However, Amane Mochizuki kept on standing there, looking up at the plane flying high in the sky. When people came from behind and avoided her like she was in their way, she didn't pay any attention to them either. Let's go. Sure. Yeah, freak. Kotori arrived just as our morning homeroom class finished. Sorry I'm late. Kotori, do you feel better now? Yes, thankfully. I see, I was worried about you. But not worried enough to send someone officially? Kotori went past the homeroom teacher, who seemed bewildered that she had come back to school all of a sudden. Then, still in her wheelchair, arrived at her desk. The desk right at the front was the only one that didn't have a chair. Everyone looked on, puzzled. I'm not an animal in a zoo. I mean, fair. Now that Kotori was in school, she started her cool allure routine again. She concentrated. That kind of reminds me, like, I wish that there was a look associated with it, like Blue Steel or something from Zoolander. It'd be like, cool allure. Like, I'm just picturing that now. She concentrated during the lesson and answered the teacher's questions easily when asked. It seems like her grades in regular subjects are top class. During recess, she sat at her desk reading a book or going off somewhere. She didn't try to talk to anyone, and even if Ageha tried to speak to her, she acted like she hadn't noticed. Okay, bit rude. The other girls in the class looked like they were worried about how they should treat her and watched her from a distance. During gym class, the way she looked on, bored, left an impression on me. She always looked like she was all alone and didn't seem to be enjoying herself very much. Hey, Kotori. Irk. At lunchtime, I found Kotori carrying her bag about to leave the classroom, and I chased her down the hallway. It's lunchtime, you know? What are you doing? Oh, she's dipping. Whoosh! Suddenly, Kotori dashed away at unbelievable speed. What? Hey! In the heat of the moment, I tried to chase her, but I thought I would bump into passing students, and I was too slow to start moving. In the meantime, Kotori had already gotten inside the elevator. According to the school rules, most students are not allowed to use the elevator. It was only supposed to be used by workers or teachers carrying big loads or disabled students like Kotori. Even so, I chased after her, only for the doors to close mercilessly in front of me. Blah! Through the glass, the one with the self-proclaimed cool allure stuck her tongue out and headed to the floor below, as I stood and watched. You're not getting away. Okay, this is getting a little weird. Huff, puff, puff. I ran and made it to the school gates. She was holding her bag. It seemed like she was trying to leave early, so I went to cut her off. However, I can't deny the possibility that her lunch is in the bag. Maybe I got the wrong idea. If that's not it, then what could be the problem? I watched over the school gates like some guardian statue. Bam! I was crashed into by something in the back. In other words, from outside the school gates. Arg! Whoa! Ouch! What was that? I got up and felt like I was crawling out from under an avalanche. Then I saw a big cardboard box and a girl that had fallen over. Are you okay? Ow, ow, ow. I'm okay. I'm sorry, but I couldn't see ahead of me because of this box I was carrying. Oh. I looked at her as I got up, and without thinking, I thought I was going to say the super repeat student, but I held my tongue. How about you? You're not hurt, are you? I'm all right. I see, that's good. As she says that, the super repeating super senior holds onto the big cardboard box. Are we just going to add more supers every time? Hup! My stomach. She went to lift it up, but then senior Amane Mochizuki slumped down, exhausted. Due to an empty stomach, my short-term performance has been significantly reduced. Nerd. I'll help you carry it. Huh? It's so heavy. The big cardboard box is incredibly heavy. It's fine, I can carry it by myself. Come on, it's no big deal. I said as I went to pick it up anyway. Oh, thanks. Is this okay here? I don't know what's in it, but we put the heavy cardboard box on the floor. It's bodies. Sorry about that. Thanks for helping. This is the school-sanctioned murder club. It's all right. Anyway, senior, if you're hungry. She was staring toward the inside of the garage. Senior? I guess they chose to use this instead of like senpai or something, but I feel like, again, like with your primary visual novel audience being probably also into anime and watching a lot of subs, you could probably they probably heard senpai before. I don't think we needed to change it to something as awkward as senior. This reminds me of something at work where these people, like they weren't really proficient in Spanish, but they decided to do a Spanish version for something that we needed, and this was for like head of household, and the Spanish that they chose was El Jefe, and I was like, maybe we missed the mark just a little bit on this one. I don't know that's quite right. It was kind of funny. It was just like, I mean, I guess that's technically correct, but also, does anyone actually say that? And I feel similarly here. Like, do we really need senior? Like, just say senpai. Like, your audience is going to understand that one. I find myself copying her and looking in the same direction. Inside was Kotori. What's she doing here? She's by the big thing placed in the center of the garage and is trying to lift up the sheet to see what's underneath. Are you interested in that? Kotori is surprised when Amane speaks to her. Gulp. Kotori seems intimidated and nods. Amane vigorously pulls back the sheet. Inside is a white, streamlined aircraft. Kotori looked at it, dazed. I say wow as I let a small surprised sound slip out. Could this be a glider? Yes, it is. Amane nodded, and Kotori cautiously moved her head closer to the aircraft. Even in the dimly lit garage, the glider's white body had a glossy shine to it and faintly reflected Kotori's face. I moved toward it to take a closer look. Is this the one that we saw from Windmill Hill? Yeah, it could be. The smooth surface looks like it was made from plastic, however, it is hard to the touch. The wings had been removed, and for now, it was just the body. So, this is what the cockpit's like. This is amazing. Yeah. Huh? We'd started talking to each other at some point, but then finally realized who it was we were talking to. Hey you, why were you running away just now? She calmly ignores my question, but then hurriedly tries to escape, so I go ahead to block her. I won't let you get away. Her. Why did you come here? You're not here to eat lunch, are you? Humph. There was some mean guy guarding the school gates, so I came to hide in here. I love this. I love the vocals on this. It's so funny. Like, it totally matches the mood here. So, she really was trying to leave early. Do you know her? Amane was listening carefully to our conversation. Slurp, slurp, munch, munch. This tastes good. Amane was wolfing down a Neapolitan pasta lunchbox, and Kotori and I both had a face that seemed to say, whoa, and looked on in amazement. Why would we say whoa? Well, to see such a beautiful girl do something like that, I feel really disappointed. Oh, she didn't know that when she was eating ice cream like a crazy idiot, I had the same reaction when I was watching her. By the way, the thing that Amane was eating was the lunchbox that I had brought. I think we could all gather that. As usual, the boarders hadn't eaten the breakfast I had made for them, so I packed it as my lunch. I had made 2 lunchboxes. One was for me. As for the other one, I thought that if Kotori was going to go to school, she might have found it difficult at lunchtime, so I was worried about her and brought another lunchbox. Well, that's sweet. That's why I was chasing her. If you say so. If she didn't need it, I thought that I might eat them both myself, but she ran away before I could ask her. But is this okay for me to eat your whole lunchbox? Asked Amane, although she'd already eaten most of it before asking. I've already eaten my one. I was hungry during morning recess, so I had lunch early. Relieved to hear my answer, Amane continues to enjoy the cold Neapolitan pasta. Ooh, this is delicious. It's been a while since I had proper food like this. Didn't you have anything to eat after I saw you yesterday? I only gave her 1 piece of bread. Amane stopped moving her chopsticks and took a good look at my face. Could it be that you're the person who gave me that bread yesterday? My savior? You've only just realized? Well, I was concentrating on something yesterday. She really is weird. Oh, I see. So this is the second time you've saved me. Okay. She looked at me with eyes that sparkled like a little kid's. If she were a dog, her tail would definitely be wagging like crazy. I received that bread from you approximately 20 hours ago. Prior to that, the last meal I had eaten was roughly 70 hours earlier. That's unhealthy. And dangerous. I counted on my fingers. If there are 24 hours in a day, that's 3 days ago. I went to Taioken and ate pork ramen with all the toppings. The soup was rich and delicious. She recalls this, and her face looks like she's about to start drooling. Why don't you eat? Are you on a diet? I forgot. Huh? When I'm thinking about something, I forget about everything else. That's because I'm stupid. Amane replied with pride. I'd prefer that if she didn't compare it to when people forget things because they're hungry. Are you building this glider? Yeah. Are you doing that here? Where else would she do it? The Soaring Club used this garage as a clubhouse. Soaring Club? I wasn't familiar with that name. What's soaring? Soaring is to fly a glider by riding the rising air currents. Flying a glider by riding the rising air currents. I kind of get it, but on the other hand, I don't get it. So the aim of the club is to make and fly a glider. Well, yeah, that's right. So this garage is used for club activities after all. Even so, it's pretty spacious. A glider is like an airplane, isn't it? Is it something you can make yourself? Yeah, I can make it because it's a man-made object. There's no reason why you can't make it, right? I have a feeling that's not what she's asking. However, Amane answered the question in all seriousness. How do you make it? Well, rather than explaining it, it's quicker if you actually make one yourself. Hold on a moment, I said as Amane slurped up the last of the Neapolitan with extremely bad manners. Wiping around her mouth with a tissue, she started rummaging through a desk drawer. Where did that thing go? Peeking inside the drawer, somehow I get the impression that Amane is a typical disorganized person. Rather than things being put away, it was more like they were stuffed in. Oh, here it is. This is it. The thing that Amane had taken out was a paper airplane construction kit made using cardboard. Okay, try to make one. Without thinking, Kotori and I looked at each other. Yeah, it's the same principle. You just have to build one that can accommodate human occupants, right? But, same kind of aerodynamic principles. I feel that manufacturing a glider and making a paper airplane are completely different things. But for now, I'll try doing as she says. Using glue and a craft knife, in about 10 minutes, we had finished the paper airplane. Finished! All done. Amane takes the plane that Kotori had made and takes a good look. Then she threw it. The paper airplane floated gently as it flew and landed near the wall on the other side of the garage. It flew straight forward very nicely. It's a good plane. Kotori seems embarrassed at being complimented. There are many types of airplane. There are jumbo jets, small, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Cessnas? I don't know what language it is, so not quite sure how that C should be, or even the double S, really. Fighter planes. Then there are paper airplanes like the one you just threw. But all of them fly based on the same principle. Paper airplanes and jumbo jets are the same? Yes, the principles are the same, using their wings to float on the air in order to fly. Kotori and I both tilted our heads in puzzlement. We both had a skeptical look on our faces. I can understand that a light paper airplane can fly by riding the wind, but it's hard to imagine that a giant hunk of metal can float in the sky on the same principle. There must be some other method that allows it to fly. Amane goes to pick up the paper airplane that she had just thrown. I'd like you to take a good look. Can the two of you see what the difference is between this airplane and this paper one? The size and the materials? Also, whether or not people ride on it. That's right. Then there is whether or not it has an engine. On the other hand, everything is the same. Here we have the principles of flight. Regular airplanes are made from mostly the same parts as this. First, there's the body. Next are the main wings. The horizontal tailplane. The vertical tailplane. There are a few airplanes that have a somewhat quirky shape, but even in those cases, they still have mostly the same parts, or other parts that fulfill a similar role. When she puts it like that, I guess she's right. I've never paid that much attention to it, though. By the way, do you know how an airplane floats on the air? Because it has lift. That's right, like the force of a fluid moving over a wing, lift is said to be the vertical component in accordance with the direction of the flow. I look baffled again, and Amane smiles a little and rephrases it. In other words, for the idiots in the audience, it's the force that makes the wings float up on the air. Lift is created here on the main wings. When an air hits the wings from the front, the airflow divides, going over and under the wings. I can just imagine the wings cutting the air like a blade. At that time, there's a big difference in the speed of the airflow above and below the wing. and the pressure drops on the side that has the faster airflow. That's Bernoulli's theorem. Amane nods. Standing beside her, I'm a little freaked out as she so easily comes out with a word like Bernoulli. What the hell is that? We were taught that in class, right? We didn't learn that at my school. Maybe. That's why the airplane's wings are designed so that the air flows faster on the upper side. This is in order to lower the pressure on the upper side. By doing this, the pressure on the lower side is higher in comparison, and then the air lifts the wings up. The air lifts the wings up. It's a phenomenon that's hard to suddenly imagine. So that's Bernoulli's theorem? Amane nodded as if to say yes. There's one more thing. The air flowing over the top of the wing bends downward because of the wing's surface, causing downforce behind it. And that... Okay, I'm wondering if that is part of how the airplane, pushes forward. I'm sure she'll explain. As she explains, Amane is drawing a cross-section of the wing. According to that, an airplane's wings are flat at the bottom and the top is shaped like a mountain. So it seems like it is semicircular. Apparently, the air on the upper side flows along the raised curved surface and then bends to flow downward. As for the question of why the air flows along the raised surface, it can only be said that this is because of the nature of the air. Or so it would seem. This downforce, according to Newton's third law, causes the same reaction on the wing, which lifts it in an upward direction. The reaction lifts up the wing? When a heavy basketball hits the ground, doesn't it seem that it's floating weightlessly? It's the same as that. Okay, so maybe not pushes it forward, but what does... obviously we're learning as we go. It's just something I've never thought about, and physics was never my strong suit, but where does the force come in that pushes it forward or keeps it going in forward motion? Does that mean that when the wing drops in the air, the reaction causes it to float? So when the lift exceeds the weight of the airplane can fly through the air. For example, it's the same for a jumbo passenger airplane with a total weight of several hundred tons. Theoretically, that may be so, but I still couldn't imagine how enough lift could cause a several hundred-ton airplane to take off could be created. However, airplanes do actually fly in the sky. The main wings that create the lift are the parts necessary to make the airplane fly in the sky. I don't know if I understand or not. However, I understood that the main wings are the most important part. Next are the tailplanes, of which there are two types, vertical and horizontal. These are added to stabilize the position of the airplane when in midair. An airplane floats in midair, which is much more unstable than we humans are when standing on the ground. Makes sense. The one going straight up is the vertical tailplane. This stabilizes lateral movement. The one extending out sideways, the same as the main wings, are the horizontal tailplanes. These move vertically, in other words, stabilizing the up and down movement of the nose. Without this, even a paper airplane won't fly straight. I see, so that's why they have small wings on the tail. Then there's the body. This doesn't have a direct relationship to flight. But if you don't have this, there's nowhere to attach the wings. And that is the basic form of an airplane. That hasn't changed since a long time ago, since the era of the Wright brothers. Since that long ago? But the Wright brothers were the first people in the world to fly a plane, right? So nothing has changed since the very first one was made? The Wright brothers were the first to fly using powered flight. Gliders were being flown even before that. Interesting. Yeah, I guess so. I always thought that the Wright brothers were the first to fly. If you know the role of the wings, you should try it on this paper airplane. For example, if you were to bend the vertical tailplane a little, like this, the plane that Amane threw curved gently as it flew. Also, if you curve this part of the main wing a little, she bent the left and right main wings so that they twisted at the back. This time the plane twisted as it flew. Hey, that's pretty interesting. This is actually a really genius, like, object lesson to explain the basic principles of flight. Like, pretty cool. Watch this. Full of confidence, Kotori threw her paper airplane. Whoa. Ah. It did a beautiful loop-the-loop before landing. That's cool. It did a loop-the-loop. This paper airplane is really interesting. Kotori and I both got really engrossed in adjusting the wings and playing around. Sometimes the paper airplanes displayed some mid-air aerobatics, and other times they didn't fly at all and crashed into the ground. However, by trying it for ourselves, we were able to get a real understanding of the role of the wings. By just changing the shape of the wings a little, you can make them fly in many different ways. Actual airplanes have many smaller wings, such as ailerons. The aircraft is controlled by adjusting them. As she explained, Amane moved to the side of the garage. Then she lovingly laid her hand on the glider. This glider doesn't have an engine. It's like a bigger and more robust paper airplane. The only thing that has been added is the cockpit. Kotori and I look at the paper airplanes in our hands. I imagine riding it and flying through the sky. This is just like the fantasies I envisioned as a kid. The glider in front of me was the real thing. How about it? You just felt like you could make one, didn't you? But it doesn't have an engine. How does it fly? Paper airplanes gain thrust by being thrown by people, by riding the wind. Both I and Kotori gaze at the white aircraft. This is some pretty momentous music. I like it. That day we saw this flying from Windmill Hill. Riding the wind, that expression expresses it so perfectly, the way it flew so smoothly and calmly. Riding the wind. Amane nods happily. Then by riding rising air currents, you can fly anywhere. Anywhere? Yes, you can even go above the clouds. Above the clouds. Kotori looked at the aircraft with an expression of disbelief. I also couldn't imagine that this thing flying above the clouds. Have you been there, above the clouds? Well, that's, Suddenly her mood drops. I only put it together recently and finally took it out on a test flight. It was that time. Ah! Kotori and I react by exchanging glances. The wings weren't strong enough and snapped halfway through. Huh? So you mean... Yeah, it was pretty dangerous. If they had broken completely, I might have fallen to my death in the lake, she says so nonchalantly. Ah ha ha ha, she laughed as she spoke. I have to rebuild them. It's because I'm not so good with my hands. Also, I know some of the instruments are broken, but I'm having trouble getting my hands on the parts. Why don't you make them yourself? Kotori said that so easily. At a school where things like this are taught, they have all the equipment you need to make anything, from a screw to an aircraft. That's no good either. Amane, with a troubled look on her face, took some broken parts from a drawer. The diaphragm is one of the parts used to make the airspeed controller. This was a special order, and the factory where this was made shut down a long time ago. Kotori and I gazed at the parts in the palm of Amane's hand. It certainly looks like it wouldn't be easy to make. If it's the kind of thing that can be made in the town factory, there might be something that can be done about it. Amane's eyes light up as I quietly mumble. Really? Well, I don't know until I ask, but I know someone like that. Please, if I don't have this, I'll be in a real fix. Okay, I'll try asking next time I see him. Can I borrow this? Thank you. This will be the third time you saved me. Whoosh! Whoa, okay, slow down. Slow down, I believe we're locked into Kotori's route for the first playthrough, so wait your turn. Suddenly she gives me a full-on hug and we're even cheek to cheek. Thank you, thank you. You can thank me once I've actually got it. Oh yes, I guess you're right, but this includes thanks for lunch. So let me express my thanks one more time. Well, if you insist. No, that's enough. Okay, come on, Aoi. Get your head in the game. Really? Gee. Kotori was suddenly glaring at me. Yeah, so there are a few of these narration moments where they've actually, just by the like changes in the visuals, they've made it perfectly clear what's actually happening, and I think the narration isn't necessary. So like that bit where the narrator acknowledges that, or whatever, the protagonist acknowledges that she's glaring at him. Like, they did such a good job on the visuals that it was redundant, right? There was an earlier moment between Kotori and Aoi when, again, I forget what the narration said, but it was like, you didn't need this. Like, you did the work with the visuals. It was perfectly conveyed without the words. That this just becomes, again, like a chore to read, like a needless chore in all of the text that has to be read. This was completely unnecessary, again, because you put in the work. You did the right work where you showed what was happening, and you did it well and clearly. That's kind of the... That seems like a struggle with visual novels, where how much is clear and, how much text do we have to put in to kind of make it clear. I can see that kind of being a thing when you have those two elements that are so much in the foreground, the text and the visuals. I mean, it's literally in the name, visual novel, that they can kind of compete against one another at points, even. Anyway, I wonder if this will really fly. Kotori and I both gaze at the glider with the same look on our faces. By the way, you two, if you're interested in gliders, the bell rings, interrupting Amane. Amane flinches in surprise and quickly turns her back to us. If we're interested? What is it? No, it's nothing. Forget about it. Somehow it seems she's avoiding something. Amane? What? Can I come and see you again? Yeah, of course. If you're interested, come anytime. I have to bring her those parts as well. You too. Come again. Sure. As Kotori nods, Amane grins as she nods back. She's really beautiful, but her smile somehow makes her look like a little kid. All right, shall we go back to the classroom? Huh? I started pushing Kotori's wheelchair and decided to start walking. Hey, where are you taking me? The classroom, of course. No, stop. I'm hungry and I haven't had lunch yet. You reap what you sow. I said stop. Hey, don't push me. I brought Kotori with me against her wishes and we returned to the classroom. Mean. Aoi. I went back to the dormitory and someone called out to me when I was at the gate. Aoi. Anchan! When I saw who it was, my level of enthusiasm went up by 500%. Standing there was Anchan. I was thinking about going to see you tomorrow, or somewhen. I mean, I like that. I like that as a made-up word. I wonder if there is any documented use of somewhen, because it makes sense. Sometime, somewhere, someday, somewhen. It makes sense, but it's like, hey, you shot your shot and I'm on board. Let's make that a thing. I wanted to meet you soon, so I skipped work to come here. It's been a long time, Aoi. Anchan ruffles my hair. Hey, stop that, will ya? Completely ignoring my attempts to resist, Anchan gives me a noogie, grinding my hair round and round. I think that my hair is probably messed up pretty badly now. This is Tatsuya Igarashi, commonly known as Anchan. He's a childhood friend of Ageha and mine and is like a real big brother to us. He's much older than us, but we used to play together a lot as kids. Ah, geez, you're messing up my hair. Sorry, when I remember the past, I couldn't help it. You haven't changed either, Anchan. Still the same as before. Hey, that's not a compliment, is it? Oh, isn't it? Of course, people can't get stuck in a rut. People change, you know. What Anchan says is true, but to me, I'd rather Anchan just stay the same as he is now. As I think about it, Anchan all of a sudden has a kind look on his face. Is your leg okay now? Yeah, well, enough for everyday life. I see. It must have been tough. It's no big deal. I can have a normal life like this. On top of that, I had you there to watch me in the race, where I tried the hardest. That was a good race. You looked pretty cool when you were on the podium. I came third, though. In my previous school, I was in the cycle racing club. In the final race of the first grade, I was able to take the third place spot on the podium. It was my best result. For that race, Anchan traveled a long way to come and watch me. Oh, what a friend! Third place is still amazing. Yeah. Because of Anchan's kindness, I felt a little tearful. He sensed how I was feeling and started to mess up my hair again. This time it wasn't so rough. So now you're the dorm mother of this place, huh? Yeah. The Flying Fish Manor, that brings back memories. We used to play here a lot. We would come sneaking in. Huh? Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, other memories. That wasn't what Anchan was talking about just now. By the way, is that girl a boarder here? Someone was hiding in the shadow of the gate. Ah! Kotori. It looked like she couldn't get past because Anchan and I were in the way. She could have just spoke to us normally, but instead she was hiding and watching us. Hello there, Missy. Hello. Kotori was still being cautious, but returned the greeting. Then we got out of her way, then went into the compose mode, and then when we got out of her way, she went into her compose mode and entered the dormitory. So that girl lives here, huh? You know her? Yeah, I see her in the town from time to time. There's a big dog near my factory, you know. Pedigree? There's a big dog that goes by that name. I'm sure it was a Saint Bernard. Yesterday, she was hanging around near Pedigree. Was she by any chance trying to stroke his head? Yeah, that's what it looked like. She was giving him food, but the dog only eats food from his owner. As I thought. That was in the things I want to do list. Stroke the head of the big dog in the neighborhood. It's really scary, but it might be unexpectedly friendly. If possible, I'd like to ride around on its back. So, she was skipping school to go and do things like that. Well, I'll forget about Kotori for now. Anyway, welcome back, Aoi. It's good to be back, Anchan. I seemed a little embarrassed as I answered, and Anchan grinned at me. If you have any problems, don't hesitate to ask. I'm your big bro, right? Parting with those words, Anchan turned to leave. Oh, that's right, Anchan. Huh? I know this is a bit soon, but I have a favor to ask. I took the parts that Amane had left with me out of my bag. Along with it was a memo with the dimensions and so on written down. I need some parts the same as these. Would you be able to get one? Anchan's family run a factory. It's known as a town factory, and it seems that they manufacture special order-made parts. Anchan works there right now. If Anchan can't do it, he might be able to use his connections with other engineers to introduce me to other factories. Anchan looks at the broken parts in the memo. A diaphragm, huh? Yeah, okay. He quickly answered. I'll contact you once I get my hands on it. Thanks, Anchan. No problem. Anchan raised one hand and turned to leave. Thanks to the fact that I was able to meet Anchan, I went back to my room in a good mood. I put my hand on the saddle of the bicycle in the corner of the room. I'm proud to have been able to stand on the podium in front of a buddy like Anchan. That looks like an expensive bike. Before I realized, Kotori was next to me. What are you doing here? I came in here with you. Didn't you realize? I hadn't realized. Do you want something? Like, I'm not sure we needed that narration there. I hadn't realized, because I think it's pretty fucking clear from the dialogue that, yeah, he was unaware of her presence and that she was right there. Without answering my question, Kotori opened a drawer in the desk. In here? Maybe not. Oh, she's looking for the withdrawal letter. How about in here? Looks like she's searching for something. Not here. That's strange. I was sure that you'd have it. There was nothing that I didn't want her to see, so I was unfazed when I questioned her. What are you doing? Looking for something. You can see that, can't you? I know, but shouldn't you at least get the consent of the owner of the room? What about you? Give it back now. I know you've got it. Got what? It's... Apparently, she was looking for the withdrawal notice that I'd picked up before. I don't know what you're looking for, but I don't think it's in here. You definitely sound suspicious. There's no mistaking it. I know you have it. Did you say something? No. Seems like her search has come to a stop. However, Kotori isn't leaving the room and continues looking around. This is the first time I've been in a boys' room. It's pretty tidy, isn't it? I expected there to be trash everywhere. I don't have many things. Thanks to that, moving house was easy. Kotori was staring straight at the bike, which gave off a unique presence in my room. What happened to your leg? I panicked at being asked so frankly. It's no big deal. Looks like she was listening to my conversation with Anchan. I just had a bit of an injury, but look, it's fine now. I lightly swing my leg to show her. Is the injury the reason why you changed school? It's fine, really. Why do you ask? No reason, I just felt like it. There's no need for you to worry about it. Who said I was worried about you? I'm not worried, not even a tiny bit. See you later. That was a waste of time. Kotori makes a straight face and goes back to her room. You're going again tomorrow, aren't you? Huh? To the garage at lunch. I'm not going, is what it felt like she was gonna say. I am going. Oh, she answered and panicked as she left my room. Looks like I should make 3 lunch boxes this time. All right, well, and scene. I always feel like say, I mean, it's a perfect little, transitional divide, like whatever. Um, Bookend, if you will. Although that's at the two ends of your whatever. It is what it is, and we're gonna stop here and pick up next time. So as always, leave a like if you like, a dislike if you don't. Comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do. But I am hopping off, and we will be back with more If My Heart Had Wings in the next one. Peace out.